This is a supplementary video on buying climax. The buying climax was detailed in the part 3 of the series on volume spread analysis. Based on the many requests and questions raised, I decided to do this supplementary video. One of the most asked question was whether the buying climax is applicable on different time frames. Yes, it works on different time frames. Let's look at some examples. In the first example, let's look at the 1 hour chart of Adani Ports. Here we have the buying climax bar on high volume. So let me draw the supply shadow of the buying climax bar. As you can see, the next bar, the prices tried to move up, but the supply overwhelmed and it was pushed back into the shadow. Here again a second attempt is made on high volume, but again supply came and it pushed back into the shadow. The third attempt on much higher volume, again supply came and pushed it back. As you can see, with the long wick, there was a lot of supply and the prices were pushed to the open, but still it was above the high of the buying climax. But the next bar could easily push it back because there was no demand there. It was on low volume. And the last attempt was a very feeble attempt on much lower volume, which was easily pushed back into the shadow, and then the weakness started manifesting. Now we need to wait and see if this will break the low of the buying climax bar. Let's see if we can see another example here. We see here another buying climax. So let me draw the shadow, supply shadow of this bar. As you can see, the prices remained in this region and multiple attempts failed. Multiple attempts to move above the high of the bar failed. It was quickly pushed back into this shadow and finally it went below. And it was here the prices were able to overcome the supply and start moving up. So you can see the time spent to overcome the buying climax bar and succeed in moving up. So now let's go to the next example. In this example, I have the chart of Glenmark Pharma. This is a 15-minute chart. You can see a buying climax bar here. So let me quickly draw the supply shadow here. The next bar, of course, tried to move above the high of the buying climax bar, but supply pushed it back. The next one was a weak attempt and a much lower volume. That also did not succeed, so the weakness started and finally it broke below the low of the buying climax bar and prices came down much further. So this was a very successful buying climax. Let's see if we can see another buying climax. You can see another buying climax. Of course, this one failed here. can see the supply here, but the next bar was a clearly an effort to move up bar, which we will look at it in later part of the video series. So it was a powerful move upwards with back-to-back bullish bars. So this is one of the buying climax which failed. Here we can see a buying climax followed by another buying climax. This one clearly marked the end of the up move. Now let's go to the next example. In the next example, I have the chart of the State Bank of India. It's a 5 minutes chart. You can see that this is a buying climax bar. So let me quickly draw the shadow of supply of the buying climax bar. As you can see that the buying climax had its effect and the prices dropped down, and then again it tried to recover, and then again it came down. And here we have a widespread bar. In VSA terminology, we would call it jumping across the resistance or the supply area. You can see it is totally crossing this supply zone of the buying climax. As it was difficult to cross this area, you jump across this area, but still some supply had come, and then finally it managed to move above. Then here again you see another buying climax bar, and this totally pushed the prices down, and it came down here and started moving sideways. So even in 5 minutes time frames you will find the buying climax. However, we should note that as we go down in the time frames, the buying climax gets rarer and rarer. You will rarely find these buying climax bars. Other indications are quite common, but the buying climax is quite rare as you come down in the time frame. In the next example, we'll go to the weekly charts. I have the chart of the Tata Power. Here you can see we have a buying climax. I will quickly draw the shadow of the supply. But this buying climax was quite effective. Within the next few bars, the prices broke below the low of the buying climax, and it came down a lot, almost from 100 level, it came to below 64 levels. Then it went further down. Then it started moving up here. So here again we have a buying climax bar. Once again, let's draw the shadow of the supply area. It came down, the prices came down here, but it sustained within the supply area and then started moving up. Then we have another buying climax here. But this again, the supply was present for quite some time. In terms of weeks, you can see it is almost 2 to 3 months. This was stuck within the supply area, and here again, for more than 2 months, this was stuck within the supply area. Finally, this managed to move up, and then we had a very bullish up move here. So clearly, the buying climax appears in weekly charts as well, and they have a strong effect. They bind the stock prices within the supply area for quite a long time. So we will have a look at one more final chart. I'll take the chart of Adani Ports. You can see here, this was a buying climax. Here, this happened in 2021, April, and the price was bound within this. Almost more than a year, it was bound within the supply area of this buying climax. It never succeeded to move beyond this buying climax high level. Similarly, you have a buying climax here, and here also for more than 6 months it was stuck in the shadow of the buying climax area, and finally it did not succeed to go up and it went below. This was again a big drop. So in the weekly charts, you can find the buying climax, and they bound the prices within that shadow for a quite long time. You can find in many charts just similar examples in the weekly time frame. Let us quickly summarize what we learned in this session on buying climax. First, the buying climax bar appears in all time frames. The concept remains the same in all time frames. In lower time frames, the buying climaxes are rare. In the weekly time frames, the prices get bounded for a long period in the shadow of the buying climax. With this, we come to the end of this supplementary session on buying climax. The next video on the VSA series will be on upthrust bar. This is when the uptrend or the up move ends or pauses. In order to get notified for the release of future parts or the videos, do subscribe to this channel. In case you find this video useful, please do press the like button. Thank you.